what's your best moment ever with Tony Yayo?
We was overseas and at the MTV Awards in Morocco. Oh, it was crazy. He was crazy because he was on the run, right? It was the first trip. Yeah, he was supposed to go in or go on the trip. Which one you gonna do? He's like, come on, we going, man. You crazy? I ain't going to jail now. Oh no, he had fake passports, everything. He went to jail for that. Roll-ups to looks in an envelope, opens the passport. It has someone else's name in it.
And they knew that wasn't his name.
Yeah. And they're like, where did you get this?
Is Ye the one friend that it's like, I wish he wasn't my friend, but he's my best friend type of person?
Yes.
Because he does that all the time.
No, I always wish he wasn't my friend. Like, it was a lot easier. I wouldn't even have to go through my Jimmy Henchman period. Was, he is doing it. His feelings is in the right place, and what he caused things.
He escalated it.
He does cause things, you know? And then it's like, I'm not gonna let you do something. Like that, forget about it. If you think you're just gonna do that, I'm not gonna respond to it.
A man who goes by Domination sat down with Cameron and dropped one of the more surprising accounts to come out of the G-Unit era in years. He claimed he was in the car the night 50 Cent got shot. Not just nearby, he says he was the one driving 50 to the hospital after the shooting. And if that is true, it means one of the most talked about events in hip-hop history has a witness who has been largely quiet about it for over 2 decades until now. To understand why this interview landed the way it did, you need to know who Domination is in relation to this story. He grew up in the same South Jamaica, Queens' neighborhood as 50 Cent. His crew, which included Tony Yayo, Fat Shaw, and others, was in the same orbit as 50 before G-Unit became what it became. They recorded at a makeshift studio in a basement run by a guy called DJ Rough Hands. His ties to 50 and Tony Yayo went back to the block, not the boardroom. He was not an industry figure who came in later. He was from the same environment from the beginning. That context matters because it shaped how he responded to one of the first things Cameron brought up: Tony Yayo's reputation as a respected big homie figure. Domination's reaction was immediate and dismissive. He seemed almost confused by the framing, pushing back on the idea that Tony Yayo held that kind of elevated status. For fans who know Yayo as a loyal G-Unit fixture who has stood by 50 through everything, that reaction raised eyebrows immediately. It was not a minor difference of opinion. He was genuinely pushing back on the whole premise. That led into the dice game story. When Cameron asked him about the wildest situation he experienced growing up, Domination started with something relatively minor: a story about someone getting duck sauce thrown at them on the block. He admitted it was corny in retrospect, but said it happened because the block was always flooded, 20 to 30 guys out at any given time. When Cameron pushed for something more dramatic, Domination mentioned that Tony Yayo had been slapped at a dice game. The way he told it, guns came out, it was a wild situation, but he questioned how legendary people had made that story seem. His point was that plenty of people from ordinary blocks have stories just like that. He was not impressed by it being treated as some defining moment. Now here is where the interview escalated into something much bigger. Domination talked about a specific night at the Rough Hands basement studio. He was there recording with his crew when 50 Cent came in. A rapper named Storm P was also in the studio working on something, and 50 heard the beat and immediately said he wanted to get on it. He did not ask the person who made the beat, he just told the engineer to let him record. What he laid down that night was a verse that included lines about himself getting stabbed and getting mad and tearing someone's head off with a gun. Bold bars, exactly the kind of energy 50 was bringing in that pre-fame era. Here is why that matters. Storm P was from Baisley Projects. Based on the connections Domination laid out, Storm P's management circle had ties to the same neighborhood networks associated with Ja Rule and Supreme. The side 50 was on a direct collision course with. According to Domination, once 50 jumped on that beat and started going at people through the lyrics, word spread fast through those networks. The person connected to the track apparently had to immediately distance himself, essentially telling people that 50 had done that on his own and that he had not approved it or known it was coming. In Domination's telling, that moment was a turning point. Lines were being drawn, and 50's name was now attached to something that reached people who were not going to just let it go. And then the night of the shooting arrived. Domination said he was present. His account, as he told it to Cameron, went like this. They were in a car together. He saw another car coming and thought 50 had seen it too. He asked who it was and did not get a clear answer back. When he turned to look, the shooting started. He said he forgot the car was in reverse. He hit the gas thinking he was going forward and went backwards instead, hitting the other car and knocking his head. That froze him briefly. While he was frozen, the shooter came around the vehicle and opened fire. A girl in the car started screaming at him to drive, which snapped him out of it. He drove them down the block and then to the hospital. He said he did not know he had been shot himself. A bullet had passed through his left hand until he got to the hospital. He was moving so fast in the moment that he did not even feel it. This account directly contradicts, or at minimum complicates, the way the shooting has been told in various interviews and accounts over the years. Domination was not presenting himself as a bystander who heard about it later. He was saying he was in the car, he was the driver, and he is the one who got 50 to the hospital that night. That is a significant claim. The fallout between Domination and 50 reportedly came later. The account that has circulated over the years involves a bond situation. 50 allegedly did not come through when Domination needed help with a bond, and once he was out, the rift between them became public. Fans who follow G-Unit closely remember a heated radio exchange that many people associate with Hot 97, where the tension between them became impossible to ignore. Domination has clearly held on to the details of this era for a long time, and the Cameron interview appears to be the moment he decided to put some of it on record. The timing of the interview generated its own conversation. The question many people are asking is why now? Why is this coming out in 2025 and not years ago? The podcast era has genuinely changed the way old hip-hop history gets told. Figures who spent decades keeping things close to the chest are now sitting down and being asked direct questions on platforms that reach millions of people. Some of them are comfortable talking for the first time. Others are revising or expanding on stories they have told before. Domination falls into the category of someone who was always in the periphery of a famous story, but never fully told his version. Whether the timing is about clearing a record, staying relevant, or simply being asked the right questions by the right person, the result is the same: a version of events that the public had not fully heard before. Reaction online split the way it usually does when old G-Unit stories resurface. People who grew up following that era closely are taking it seriously and comparing it to other accounts. 50 Cent's supporters are pushing back and questioning the credibility and motivation behind the interview. Some people are digging through old footage and interviews trying to cross-reference the timeline. Others feel these stories should have stayed private, given that the shooting was a real criminal incident with real consequences, not just a piece of rap mythology. What Domination said may or may not be the full picture. Memories shift over 20 years. Different people in the same situation often remember different things. And some details in the interview are harder to verify than others. But the core claim, that he was in that car and drove 50 Cent to the hospital, is specific enough and personal enough that it is not the kind of thing someone just makes up casually in a sit-down interview. Either way, the early G-Unit era has been brought back into full focus, and for a lot of people, it never really left. Drop a comment: do you think Domination's account checks out? And does it change how you see that era of G-Unit history? Thanks for watching video. Subscribe the channel and like the video. Love you guys.